here's Brody Brazil.
It was about a month and a half ago here on the YouTube channel. I made a video with the unfortunate news that the Modesto Nuts seemed like they'd be playing their final baseball games in Modesto before relocating this offseason. It turns out, and I'm kind of surprised to be saying this, that the Modesto Nuts are actually going to be staying in Modesto. They've worked out a temporary solution, a 1-year lease agreement, but as part of that, they have the framework to try and figure out more of a long-term situation about fixing up their stadium and trying to make this manageable for the long term. So let's first talk about John Thurman Field and where the Nuts call home. That stadium has been hosting a variety of different minor league teams since 1955. Baseball and minor league baseball are ingrained in the city of Modesto. That team, it's been called different things over the years, but they have been affiliated with 10 different major league clubs. They're currently owned and run by the Seattle Mariners. So Modesto is working with the Seattle Mariners in terms of keeping the Modesto Nuts in Modesto. They're the single-A affiliate of Seattle, and last year they were the Cal League champions. And attendance has fluctuated over the years, but I think the bigger picture is that for decades, this has been part of what Modesto is. So the new contract goes like this. City Council, they approved keeping the team by authorizing their city manager to complete a 1-year extension with the Mariners for the Nuts to stay. Now, the Nuts, as part of this agreement, they say they're going to pay for operating costs during the lease. That's something that the city of Modesto had previously been doing. And there is an April 1st of next year, 2025 deadline for a long-term deal to be completed. So we're basically getting the rest of this year, the first 3 months of next year, so about 7 or so months, let's call it half a year, to come up with a long-term situation here. And the real issue behind the long-term situation and why the Nuts were considering moving in the first place is that there are some upgrades to Thurman Field that need to be made according to Major League Baseball to comply with minor league standards, the new standards since 2020 for minor league venues. Anyway, if they can't figure things out by April 1st of 2025, then their next season would be their final season. Okay, so now let me try and explain what is the problem, the $32 million problem that they have in Modesto, and it directly relates to the stadium and how it does not live up to the brand new Major League Baseball standards for minor league operations that were established in 2020. MLB took over. They said, you know what, for player safety and for the experience of all of our youngest players in the pipeline, we need to make sure that we have certain amenities for each team, each player, that they are playing on a higher level of minor league field than ever before. And part of this for Modesto would have included larger clubhouses, better training facilities. The cost was estimated at $32 million. And initially it seemed like the city of Modesto was saying, we're not paying for any of this at all. We can't. We've already been throwing in $1 million here, $1 million there over the years, but $32 million all at once, or even in the long term, is too much. But then it came out that maybe the Nuts had been willing to pay for this $32 million in upgrades the entire time. Nuts general manager Veronica Hernandez said in an interview after Tuesday's city council meeting, where this all came together, the 1-year lease extension, that the Seattle Mariners ownership group had, quote, always wanted to stay in Modesto, end quote, and had offered to pay the $32 million to upgrade John Thurman Stadium. So as the Modesto Bee points out here, so why did the negotiations fall apart in July? Why did the Nuts announce they were done? Why did the city of Modesto announce that this was coming to an end? If there was a $32 million problem and the Nuts were okay with footing the bill on that, the Mariners were okay with footing the bill on that, I don't get it either. Hernandez answered by saying she was focused on moving forward and was grateful that negotiations had resumed. And look, I got to say, I probably should have spent more time on this at the beginning of the video. Things don't normally turn out like this, where two parties split and then they come back together and they see eye to eye on something, or at least enough to continue moving forward, continue with these negotiations. And we'll see. Maybe this is just a 1-year extension. Maybe this is a permanent solution, but they've got some time now. They just bought themselves time and opportunity, and now they don't have to have a farewell final game of the season or ever. That's pretty impressive. So here are my takeaways. Number one, minor league baseball and Major League Baseball, they have to be a little bit more realistic about these upgrades. And this situation in Modesto is kind of a microcosm of what's happening in small towns across the country. Minor league teams are saying, uh-oh, we need to comply. We have a deadline to do this. We got to do this, otherwise we got to move. It's a similar tactic to what some of the major league teams are doing with their local cities and counties and government entities. But minor league baseball can't expect every small town in America to pony up $1 million, $5 million, $32 million to upgrades of a small business already. They just cannot expect that. I am so happy that Modesto and obviously the Nuts, they didn't just let this ship sail. It would have been easy to say, well, that's it. We tried. We're done. Somehow, some way, through back channels and proper channels, they came back together and figured this out. And they just bought themselves 6 to 7 months to negotiate a new deal. So this isn't just patching something up. And now they're seeing as clearly eye to eye, maybe as they ever had before. And the Nuts have admitted that the Mariners are willing to pay the $32 million. So what really stands in the way? If the Mariners want to pay, what was the issue? And what stops it now? Should be nothing. Like, this should literally be case closed. The Nuts are staying in Modesto. So for next year, we can say 2025, they're staying. I'm happy for them. I'm happy about this situation. And obviously, I'm hopeful that in the long term, they strike another deal. They do the upgrades, and everybody's happy about it. So for right now, pretty good feel-good story. You made it here to the end of this quick video. I really appreciate that. Thumbs up down below. That helps me, this video, and this channel. Also, while you're down there, make sure you've got that subscribe button on. That way I definitely get to see you back here next time.